Welcome, Omar. Besant, Mirna,
Okay, Mr.
Matar, Maya, Luigi, Mirna, Peter, Luigi, Mirna, Peter. Where is Peter? Dahrub, Farah, Dahrub, Farah, Hania, Hania, Samar, Shahid Ibrahim, Samar, Shahid Ibrahim, Yauta, okay, guys, Selma, Selma. I think that's all for now. So we have about 15 students so far. Selma is joining. Okay, so until other people join us, let me ask you a question about the part we did in the first session. The question is, and please all be active, the question is, why was Darnay traveling back to France? Farah, if you can answer this question, go ahead. Farah, why was
Mister, can you repeat it?
Yes, Mister.
why was Darnay traveling back to France?
واي ايه عشان الصوت كان بيقطع.
Why was Darnay traveling back to France? Why was Darnay? We answered this question again and again in the first session, Farah. Why was Darnay traveling back to France? You know, he was married to Lucy Manette and
Yes.
they were staying in England. Now they have a little daughter called Lucy, little Lucy, okay? But
Okay.
traveling back to Paris now. Why?
Because in order to be on behalf of Gabriel
Mhm.
and perhaps contribute to the revolution.
Maybe, do you think he wanted to contribute to the revolution? Maybe. Thank you, Farah.
To achieve the justice and equality, right?
Okay. Okay, Farah, thank you. I have two raised hands. Luigi, your answer?
Because he got the letter from Gabal
Yes. Who's Gabel?
saying the helper of I forgot.
His
But
uncle.
What?
The assistant of his uncle.
Yes.
After,
He said he wanted help.
yes. Okay. He was in prison called.
Can you repeat the question because I just entered?
No problem. The question was, why was Darnay going back to France? Okay, and your friends answered. They said because he received a letter from Gabel, the assistant of his late uncle, who wanted him to rescue him from prison. So out of gentlemanship, the man went back to France, although it was dangerous, to help rescue Gabel from prison. Okay, thank you guys. We read 5 pages, I think, or 6 pages. We still have about 4 or 4.5. I want someone to start reading. Danielle or Peter, whoever is ready. Danielle,
Yes.
can you read? Then Peter will read after you. Then Hania. Okay.
You will see, I'm not to be buried there, prejudged and without any means of presenting my case. You will see, but what then? Other people have been similarly buried in worse prisons before now, but never by me, Citizen Defarge.
Great, thank you very much. So this is the dialogue between Monsieur Defarge and Charles Darnay. Darnay said, here, again, I'm not to be buried there, prejudged, and without any means of presenting my case. Remember, this happened to Dr. Manette himself before the revolution. And this was caused by Darnay's uncle, as we will see later. Defarge answered, you will see. But what then? Other people like Dr. Manette have been similarly buried for 18 years in worse prisons in the Bastille before now. And this was caused by your family, your father and your uncle, but never by me, Citizen Defarge. This is Darnay's answer. Never by me. Maybe by someone else, but never by me. I didn't do anything wrong to anyone before. Okay, Daniel, go on.
Defarge glanced darkly at him for answer, and walked on in a steady and set silence. The deeper he sank into his silence, the fainter hope there was, or so Darnay thought, of his softening in any slight degree. He therefore made haste to say, "It is of the utmost importance to me, you know, citizen, even better, that I know of how much importance that I should be able to communicate to Mr. Lorry of Tilson's Bank, an English gentleman who is now in Paris to simple fact, without comment, and I have been thrown into prison of La Force. Will you cause that to be done for me? I will do." Defarge Dozzled rejoined, "Nothing for you. My duty is to my country and the people. I am the sworn servant of both. Against you, I will do nothing for you."
So Defarge refused to help Darnay. Go on.
Okay. Charles Darnay felt it hopeless to entreat him further, and his pride was touched besides. As he walked in silence, he could not but see how used the people were to the spectacle of prisoners passing along the streets. The very children scarcely noticed him. A few passers turned their hands, and a few shook their fingers at him as aristocrat. Otherwise, that a man in good clothes should be going to prison was no more remarkable than that a laborer in working clothes should be going to work. In one narrow, dark, and dirty street through which they passed, an excited orator mounted on a stool was addressing an excited audience on the crimes against the people of the king and the royal family. The few words that he quoted from his man's lips first made it known to Charles Darnay that the king was in prison, and that foreign ambassadors had one and all left Paris on the road except at Beauvais. He had heard absolutely nothing. The escort and the universal watchfulness had completely isolated him.
So on his way with Monsieur Defarge to prison, there was a man standing on a chair giving a speech to the people around him. From this speech, Darnay knew that the king is in prison now and all the foreign ambassadors had left Paris. The situation is different. It's completely different from the time before the revolution. Go on, Daniel.
Okay. That he had fallen among far greater dangers than those which had developed themselves when he left England. He of course knew now that perils had thickened about him fast and might thicken faster and faster yet. He of course knew now he could now not but admit to himself that he might not have made this journey. If he could have foreseen the events of a few days, and yet his misgivings were not so dark as.
Okay, Daniel, thank you. So the perils, the dangers had thickened around him, about him fast, and might thicken faster and faster yet. So dangers are becoming more and more around Charles Darnay. He could not but admit to himself that he might not have made this journey. It was a big mistake he discovered, but it was late now. He discovered that it was a big mistake to make this journey. If he could have foreseen the events of a few days, if he could have foreseen what will happen to him, he wouldn't have done this journey. And yet his misgivings were not so dark as. Peter, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Start.
Imagine by the light of this later time they would appear troubled as the future ways. It was the unknown future, and in its obscurity
Obscurity.
there was ignorant hope. The horrible massacre days and nights long, which within a few rounds of the clock was set to the great mark of blood upon the blessed turning time of harvest, was as far as of his knowledge, as if it had been 100,000 years away. The sharp female newly born called the Geliton was hardly known to him. or to the generality of people by name. The frightful deeds that were to be soon done were probably unimagined at the time in the brains of the doers. How could they have a place in the shadowy conception of a gentle mind, of unjust treatment in detention and hardship in the cruel separation of his wife and child? He foreshadowed the likelihood or the certainty, but beyond this, he dared nothing distinctly. With this on his mind, which was enough to carry into a dearly prison courtyard, he arrived at the prison of the force. A man with a bloated face opened a strong grate, to whom the defroge presented the emigrant Evermond. What a devil! How many more of them? Exclaimed the man with a bloated face. Defroge took a receipt without noticing examination and withdrew with his two fellow patriots. What a devil, I say again, exclaimed the gaoler, left with his wife.
A jailer
How
is a jailer. Jailer is it's another spelling for the word jailer. It's the same pronunciation but different spelling. Jailer. Okay.
okay.
Okay. Go on.
The jailer's wife, being provided with no answer to the question, merely replied, "One must have patience, my dear." Three turkeys who entered responsive to a bell she rang echoed the sentiment and added, "For one love of liberty," which sounded in a place like an inappropriate conclusion. The prison of the force was gloomy prison, dark and filthy, and with horrible smell and foul sleep in it. Extraordinarily, how soon the some flavor of imprisonment sleep becomes manifest in all such places that are ill cared for. In secret, too, grumbled by Galore, looked at the written paper as if he was not already full of bursting. He stuck the paper on a file, and the ill-humored Charles Darnay awaited his further pleasure for half an hour, sometimes pacing to and fro in the strong ached room, sometimes sitting on a stone seat, in either case detained
Detained.
to be detained to be imprinted on a memory of the chief and his
Subordinates.
subordinates.
Subordinates. Thank you, Darnay. So thank you, Peter. So Darnay was sent to La Force. This is the name of his prison, and in secret. In secret. Remember, this is the title of the chapter. In secret. This means this prisoner is very important. Hania, are you ready to read?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Come, said the chief, at length taking up his keys. Come with me, immigrant. Through the dismal prison twilight, his new charge accompanied him by corridor and staircase, many doors clanging and locking behind them, until they came into a large, low, vaulted chamber, crowded with prisoners of both sexes. The women were seated at a long table, reading and writing, knitting, sewing, and embroidering. The men were, for the most part, standing behind their chairs or lingering up and down the room.
Doing nothing.
And the instinctive
So the women were busy doing something useful, but the gentlemen were just doing nothing. Okay, Hannah, sorry.
Okay. And the instinctive association of prisoners with shameful crime and disgrace. The newcomer recoiled from this company, but the crowning unreality of his long, unreal ride was their all at once rising to receive him, with every refinement of manner known to the time, with all the engaging graces and courtesies of life. So strangely clouded were these refinements by the prison manners and gloom, so spectral that they become the appropriate squalor and misery through which they were seen, that Charles Darnay seemed to stand in a company of the dead. Ghosts all, the ghost of beauty, the ghost of stateliness, the ghost of elegance, the ghost of pride, the ghost of frivolity, the ghost of wit, the ghost of youth, the ghost of age, all waiting their dismissal from the desolate shore, all turning on him eyes that were changed by the death they had died in coming there.
So
It
all the
struck him.
prisoners, wait, Hania, all the prisoners who went in prison before him were just like ghosts. And breathe. Okay, go on.
It struck him motionless, the jailer standing at his side and the other jailers moving about, who would have been well enough as to appearance in the ordinary exercise of their functions, looking so extravagantly coarse, contrasted with sorrowing mothers and blooming daughters who were there, with the apparitions of the coquette, the young beauty, and the mature woman delicately bred, that the inversion of all experience and likelihood which the scene of shadows presented was heightened to its utmost. Surely ghosts all, surely the long, unreal ride, some progress of disease that had been brought him to these gloomy shades. In the name of the assembled companions in misfortune, and a gentleman of courtly appearance and address coming forward, I have the honor of giving you welcome to La Force, and of condoling with you on the calamity that has brought you among us. May it soon terminate happily. It would be an impertinence elsewhere, but it is not so here. To ask your name and condition. Charles Darnay roused himself and gave the required information.
Words.
In words as suitable as he could find. But I hope, said the gentleman, following the chief jailer with his eyes, who moved across the room, that you are not in secret. I do not understand the meaning of the term, but I have heard them say so. Ah, what a pity. We so much regret it.
Thank you very much. Okay, Hania, I think we reached here, right? Or I skipped a page or did what? I think we stopped here, right? You read
yes.
paragraph here. Okay, so we still have about a page and a half. Who's ready to read, guys? Who's ready to read? Hello?
Mister, can I read?
Okay, Jan.
From
You can start here, I think, because I do not understand the meaning of the term. The term here is in secret. Every time
okay.
he was called in secret, in secret. What's the meaning of this term? You can start here. I don't understand.
I don't understand the meaning of the term, but I have heard them say so. Ah, what a pity. We so much regret it. But take courage. Several members of our society have been in secret at first, and it has lasted but a short time. Then he added, raising his voice, I grieve to inform the society in secret. There was a murmur of commiseration as Charles Darnay crossed the room to a grated door where the jailer awaited him.
Jailer
awaited him.
Yes.
And many voices, among which the soft and compassionate voices of women were
Conspicuous. Clear.
Conspicuous, gave him good wishes and encouragement. He turned at the grated door to render the thanks of his heart. It closed under the jailer's hand, and the apparitions vanished from his sight forever. The wicket opened on a stone staircase leading upward. When they bade ascend 40 steps, the prisoner of half an hour already counted them. The jailer opened a low black door, and they passed into a solitary cell. It struck cold and damp, but was not dark.
Okay,
Yours,
hold on, Jana. So the man, Charles Darnay, was led to a solitary cell. A solitary cell. A cell is a room in prison, as you know, and he was put there solitary. He was alone. You know, when you are imprisoned alone, this is the severest type of punishment. You're gonna turn crazy because you don't have someone. You know, man is sociable by nature. When you don't have someone to talk to, you get crazy. As the same as happened to Dr. Manette for 18 years. He has been in a solitary cell. This is why he became a shoemaker, and he, you know what happened to him. It struck cold and damp. It was very cold and damp, humid, but was not dark. Go on, Jan.
Yours, said the jailer. Why am I confined alone? How do I know? I can buy pen, ink, and paper. Such are not my orders. You will be visited and can ask then. At present, you may buy your food and nothing more. There were in the cell a chair, a table, and a straw mattress. As the jailer made a general inspection of these objects and of the four walls before going out, a wandering fancy wandered through the mind of the prisoner, leaning against the wall opposite to him, that this jailer was so unwholesomely bloated, both in face and person, as to look like a man who had been drowned and filled with water. When the jailer was gone, he thought in the same wandering way, now am I left as if was gone? He thought in the same, sorry, now am I left as if I were dead? Stopping them to look down at the mattress, he turned from it with a sick feeling and thought, and here in these crawling from where?
Crawling.
And here in these crawling creatures is the first condition of the body after death. 5 pieces by 4.5, 5 pieces by 4.5, 5 pieces by 4.5. The prisoner walked to and fro in his cell, counting its measurement, and the roar of the city aroused like muffled drums, with a wild swell of voices added to them. He made shoes, he made shoes, he made shoes. The prisoner counted the measurement again, and paced faster, to draw his mind with him from the later repetition. The ghosts that vanished when the wicket closed, there was one among them, the appearance of a lady dressed in black, who was leaning in the embrasure of a window, and she had a light shining upon her golden hair, and she looked like, let us ride on again, for God's sake, through the illuminated villages with the people all awake. He made shoes, he made shoes, he made shoes. 5 pieces by 4.5. With such scraps tossing and rolling upwards from the depth of his mind, the prisoner walked faster and faster, obstinately counting and counting, and the roar of the city changed to this extent that it still rolled in like muffled drums, but with the wail of voices that he knew in the swell that rose above them.
Okay, thank you, Jenna. We've reached the end of chapter 1. Chapter 2, guys, will be a home assignment. I want to ask you first, does anyone go to school physically? Or like term 3, all are online?
Online.
All of you are online, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
So chapter 2 is just 4 or 5 pages. This is half a page here, a page and a half, 2.5, 3.5, 4.5, 5.5, 5.5 pages or 6 pages. Next time, inshallah, we'll do chapters 2 and 3. They're both short, as you can see. 3 is the same length. Your assignment is to read chapter 2. There will be questions. I'll find out who read it and who didn't. If you want to ask me any question about the exam, I'm ready. We're done for today. If you want to ask me any questions, have you seen your marks yet? I put both.
No.
Mirna said yes.
No, we didn't get the marks.
So you got 100 in both terms, Mirna. Okay. You didn't get the marks. Yani, how do you get them? Do you receive something from school, or you're told that the marks are there now on SMS and you can have a look, or what?
Mister, they're uploaded on SMS.
Yeah, I have uploaded mine. Can't you see them now?
Yeah, but they're still not.
Yeah, and you're not allowed to have a look until now, until other people. Okay. So some people like Mirna, Dahroob, Danielle, Omar, Basant, Hania, Minna, and Mirna and Yauta got 2 bonus marks for their attendance and being active in all the sessions. Some people got 1 mark, like Peter, Mariam, Maya, Nada, okay, for the same reason. And
Mister, I answered the question in the start and then I read, so I did 2 things.
okay, not today, not today. I talk about the term 3, okay?
Oh, okay.
Not for today. Thank you, Peter. Your marks were okay, were good. and you like them, especially term 3, term 2, because we were asked to put good marks for you. Okay. Do you have any question, guys? Thank you very much. I'll end the session and see you Thursday, inshallah. Don't forget to prepare chapter or read chapter 2. Assalamu alaikum. Can I end it? Doesn't want to end as usual. Come on.